On December 17, 2025, New York City was swallowed by an unusual blizzard. Thick, heavy snowflakes fell relentlessly, blanketing all of Manhattan in white, freezing even the busiest streets that never seemed to sleep. A biting wind whipped through the towering glass skyscrapers, turning Wall Street into a silent, ghostly canvas of snow. All you could hear in the distance was the faint wail of an ambulance siren and the soft crunch of footsteps on the frozen sidewalk. Ethan Carter, a 10-year-old boy, stepped out of the Brooklyn subway station wearing a faded gray hoodie with frayed shoulders and sneakers that had a small hole at the toe. He pulled his hood up tight, shoved his hands deep into his pockets, and tried to stay warm in the sub-zero cold. Around his neck hung a small cloth bag containing the most important papers of his young life, the ones his grandfather had entrusted to him before passing away forever. Just 1 week earlier, Ethan's grandfather, Robert Carter, had died in a mysterious helicopter crash on his way back from the Hamptons to Manhattan. The news had barely mentioned it. Elderly tech entrepreneur killed in bad weather incident. No photos, no details. To the outside world, Robert Carter was just another shadowy name on the list of anonymous billionaires. But to Ethan, he was the only person who had ever truly believed in him. The one who used to tell him bedtime stories about how real power doesn't come from money, it comes from a heart that knows how to choose right. Ethan's mother, Sarah, was cleaning offices in a nearby building. She had no idea what her son was doing. Ethan had kept it from her because his grandfather's final words had been clear. "When I'm gone, you have to go to One Vanguard Tower yourself. Don't let your mom worry until everything is clear." One Vanguard Tower, the tallest financial skyscraper in Manhattan, loomed through the storm like a giant fortress of glass and steel. The lower floors served regular clients, but the VIP section began on the 88th floor and above, reserved exclusively for accounts worth over $500 million. There were no public signs, no welcoming banners, just a private elevator guarded by men in black suits and biometric scanners. Ethan walked into the main lobby, melted snow dripping from his shoes onto the gleaming marble floor. Warm golden light poured down from the soaring ceiling, highlighting expensive suits and glittering watches on the wrists of people coming and going. Everyone glanced at him for a second, a poor kid in a world of luxury, then looked away as if he were nothing more than a speck of dust that didn't belong. He approached the VIP reception desk. A middle-aged woman in a dark uniform looked up, her expression cold. "Hi, ma'am," Ethan said, his voice small but steady. "I need to go up to the VIP floor to check my account." The receptionist raised an eyebrow and gave a polite but condescending smile. "The VIP floor isn't for children, sweetie. You've got the wrong level. Regular accounts are handled downstairs." "No, ma'am," Ethan shook his head. "My grandfather told me to come to this exact floor. The account is in my name. It's been there since I was born." Soft laughter rippled from behind him. A group of men in tailored gray suits stood nearby, holding steaming coffee cups. One of them whispered loud enough for Ethan to hear. "Probably the cleaning lady's kid who got lost up here." Ethan didn't turn around. He pulled a clear plastic envelope from his cloth bag. Inside were his birth certificate, a handwritten letter from his grandfather, and a small silver USB drive engraved with the initials RC, Robert Carter. "These are my documents," he said, sliding the envelope across the counter. The receptionist glanced at it, then at Ethan, then back at the envelope. She sighed and pressed a button to call security. A tall man in a black suit approached. "What's the problem?" he asked. "This boy says he wants to go up to the VIP floor," the receptionist replied, a hint of sarcasm in her voice. The guard looked down at Ethan, his gaze assessing but not hostile. "Do you have an appointment, kid?" "No, sir," Ethan answered, "but my grandfather said showing this would be enough." He handed the USB to the guard. The man examined it closely, then frowned, then inserted it into the scanner beside the desk. The screen lit up with green text. Authentication successful. Highest priority access. The guard froze for a moment. He looked at Ethan again, this time without any trace of disdain. "All right, kid, I'll take you up." The private elevator doors slid open. Inside, the walls were clear glass, offering a breathtaking view of snow-covered Manhattan. As the elevator began its ascent, Ethan felt his heart pounding. He didn't know exactly what was waiting for him, only that his grandfather had prepared everything for this day. Floor 88. The doors opened onto a vast hallway with walnut floors and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking a white Hudson River. The air was warm, carrying a faint scent of expensive coffee and new leather. A few VIP clients stood chatting, holding wine glasses or high-end tablets. They turned as Ethan stepped out, followed by the guard. Mr. Harlan Whitmore, the VIP floor manager, stood at the central desk speaking with an important client. Tall, silver-haired, impeccably tailored. When the guard whispered something in his ear, Whitmore turned and looked at Ethan. His expression shifted from surprise to irritation in an instant. "This boy claims he needs to check an account?" he asked, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Yes, sir," Ethan nodded. "The account is under Ethan Carter. My grandfather opened it." More soft laughter from behind him. A woman in a fur coat whispered to her companion, "Probably a kid's savings account with a few $100s." Whitmore gave a cold, professional smile. "Very well, young man, let me see your paperwork." Ethan handed the envelope again. Whitmore scanned it quickly, then plugged the USB into a secure terminal. He typed a few commands, waiting for verification. The screen displayed "Loading account information, highest security level." Whitmore raised an eyebrow. He entered a few more commands to view the preliminary balance. And then he froze. His face slowly drained of color. His eyes widened. His hand trembled slightly on the mouse. The room fell silent for several seconds. Then Mr. Whitmore stood up abruptly, his voice unsteady. "Everyone, please remain calm. I need to take this young man to a private room immediately." All eyes turned to Ethan. The laughter was gone. Only curiosity, suspicion, and a faint unease remained. The 10-year-old boy in the worn hoodie followed Whitmore into the soundproof glass room at the end of the hallway. The door closed behind them with a soft click, as if sealing the door between two completely different worlds. Outside, the snow kept falling, and the real story had only just begun. The soundproof glass door closed behind Ethan with a gentle click, shutting out the curious whispers from the hallway. The private room on the 88th floor wasn't large, but it was grand enough to make anyone who entered feel small. 4 transparent glass walls looked out over a snow-blanketed Manhattan, as if the entire city were floating in the sky. Soft golden light from the ceiling bathed the polished walnut table, where only a large computer monitor and a leather chair waited. Mr. Harlan Whitmore sat in the manager's chair, trying to regain his usual confidence, but Ethan noticed immediately his hands were shaking slightly as he typed. The screen still read highest security level. "Young man, Ethan, right?" Whitmore said, his voice no longer mocking but a little hoarse. "Have a seat." Ethan pulled out the chair. His feet didn't touch the floor. He placed his cloth bag on the table and clasped his hands tightly in his lap to keep them trembling. He wasn't scared, not yet. He was just trying to remember his grandfather's words. "When you walk into that room, you'll see people change. Don't let it shake you." Whitmore cleared his throat. "I need to verify a few more details. This account has been open a long time, in your name, with Robert Carter as guardian. Are you sure you want to view the balance now? Maybe we should wait for your mom." "My grandfather told me to do it myself," Ethan interrupted, his voice soft but steady, like a small flame holding steady in the storm. Whitmore stared at the boy for a long moment.
then sighed. He pressed enter. The screen switched to a black interface with white text. Total consolidated protected assets, 2.4 billion USD. Hidden controlling shares, Vertex AI Holdings, 38.7%. Other assets, real estate, investment funds, proprietary algorithm data. Whitmore leaned back in his chair, his face as pale as if he'd seen a ghost. He whispered, "My God, Robert Carter. He was the ghost investor Wall Street has whispered about for years." Ethan didn't fully grasp what those enormous numbers meant, but he felt his heart beat faster, like the snow outside the glass tapping. $2.4 billion, more than anything he'd ever imagined in the bedtime stories his grandfather told him.